A special clap for an especially exciting Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. So for more than a decade, every Tuesday, 9 o'clock, I have had a goal to put on the mortgage industry's best sales meeting. And today, having Denise Donoghue as my special guest, I think we got it in the bag, Denise. So super pumped to be doing this call today with you.
I am so excited to be here. It's the end of 2022, and I know there's some loan officers that might be feeling some kind of way about the end of this year, but that's what I want to bring today is bring you guys value, bring you guys some forecasting, some things that I'm going to be doing in 2023, because 23 is the Michael Jordan year, and I think we can all kill it. And so I'm ready to bring some positivity and pump some of you guys up that might need it. Let's be real. Production is a little bit skinny, but there's some things that we can be doing to plant the seeds to make 23 our best year yet.
I love that. And I got one little public service announcement. Before I do that, I want to just make sure everyone really recognizes what a special mortgage advisor and leader in our industry that Denise is. Denise, how many loans did y'all close last year? What kind of volume did you do?
We did 722.
And what do you think you're going to end up the year at?
Probably 640.
640. So guys, I mean, that is monster production. That is, there's not a lot of originators in America that do that kind of volume. I'm not fast enough to do the calculations, but 720 and 640 this year, guys, she's outpacing the market. She is gaining market share. This is a very successful leader of a team. She's learned how to generate leads at scale for a long period of time. She's built a personal brand that creates this sustainable mortgage machine. And then for the announcement, I want to make a little public service announcement before we really get drilled down on Denise. Mortgage Coach YouTube channel hit 20,000 subscribers today. So yay, right?
That's so amazing. Dave.
Oh, who's that? We got a cameo experience from
20,000. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to take a 20-second timeout and just say, for anybody that's listening to this right now on Facebook, or maybe you're watching this 2 months later, because I know that's what I do. If I've told you this before, Dave, if I get in a mental rut, I will literally turn to your YouTube channel, and you have been creating this beast for years. Sometimes we look at the iceberg and it's like, oh, Dave's so successful. But it's like, you've been doing this for years. Your consistency, your commitment to our industry, we don't pay for this YouTube channel. When I get in a rut and I just binge watch a bunch of Mortgage Coach videos of Dan Keller's and the Jeremy Forcier's and the Wally's, and it's just like, you make me a better advisor. You get me out of mental funks that people probably don't even tell you about. And it's because of this channel. So everybody with me, give it a round of applause. I know Dave doesn't like the spotlight, but that is a freaking major milestone. I have 3,000 subscribers. I will get there one day, but man, congrats to you. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And it's been so successful, guys, because of you. And when I say you, I'm talking Denise and a lot of incredibly successful loan officers that have not only been generous with their time, but they've been generous with their ideas and their strategies. There's a lot of industries where someone who's incredibly successful doesn't share it. It's one of the things that's cool about the mortgage space is that we have an industry where top producers know that, what, my competition is me. And I can tell people what I do. I can give them the formula. I can here's my scripts and here's my marketing. But we all know that at the end of the day, it's like us. Like, we compete with our own ability to execute year after year after year. So, really, thank you, Denise. You are one of those Hall of Famers. If there's a Mortgage Coach Hall of Fame, which maybe we need to do someday, you would be among the first group of inductees. And so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Right on. I got you. Anyone that's watching this that has actually taken their time and shared their ideas, massive thank you to you. for all the loan officers that view it. Because at the end of the day, like when I asked Denise if she knew that, oh, 2 people are going to watch that video, they wouldn't be saying, hey, Dave, yeah, I'll make time to bring influence. They do it because there's scale and there's value. And people that are successful, they like to create value for other people. So for everyone that subscribes, like huge. For everyone that watches a video, huge. And then a special thanks for everyone that watches a video, engages, give it a like, ask a question, and then really the best gift you could always give me and others is integrate this into, like, if you're a leader and a branch manager, use this for your branch manager meeting. Like the more this content gets used and shares and creates value, that is how you say thank you to me. So that's it for the PSA, public service announcement, for anyone who doesn't know what a PSA is. One more thing before we switch into interview time. I do want to remind everyone in the mortgage industry that we can do more than close loans on time, great rates. Like there is a financial literacy crisis in America. And if you really do this business right, you can put a dent in that. There's an affordability crisis in America. And if you do lending right and you be an advisor and you are part of the Mortgage Coach, Sales Boomerang, No Borrower Left Behind community, like we can really put a dent in financial literacy, affordability crisis. And then the biggest thing of all is financial freedom. Like when people buy a home, use loans, they don't get loans because they want loans, they get loans because they want homes. And the true American dream is a home and I have financial freedom. I either have enough money in the bank to where paying it off is a strategic financial planning decision, or I've actually paid it off and I'm debt free. And that's a dream. And so I just want to remind all of us, if you are part of the Mortgage Coach community and the Sales Boomerang community, like that's the game we're playing. Like we're not playing the game of doing loans. It's Denise helped 700 families, 640-ish this year, be more financially literate, be one step closer to financial freedom. And that is what this whole thing's all about. So Denise, anything else you want to say before we just focus on how you're going to kill it in 23?
No, I actually incorporate a little bit of that framing into my conversations with clients. Is it's like they say the American dream is owning a home, but I actually disagree. I think the American dream is owning a home debt free, which to your point is what creates the financial freedom. And so my job as your mortgage advisor is to not only help you get into that home, but it's the customer service before, during, and after. And I'd argue that the after customer service is probably the most important, especially in a market like we're in now when rates are artificially high. Everybody should be asking what their lender's post-closing strategy is in a market like today. And if you have a post-closing strategy, you should be talking about that all over your channels. You should be talking about that with your realtors, with your clients. Probably the biggest mistake I've made this year, Dave, is not talking about it until the very end. And I'm like, why don't we tell people that? We should be telling them that when they start the process. So if you don't have a process, a post-closing strategy, you need to really dial that in this month before the new year hits. Is what does your post-closing strategy look like? How are you engaging with your client? What value are you bringing to them? Are you doing an annual review checkup, which Dave's been preaching about for years? You've got to be doing that now. It was a little bit hard, truth be told, when you're writing loans and people's rates were 2.875 and 3%. You could get a little lazy. Like, let's be real. You could get a little lazy because you're like, what am I going to call them about in a year? The rate's already fantastic. When we all know there's a lot that you could be calling them about. But I could see where a mortgage banker a few years ago might be like, I don't know if I'm going to buy into that strategy, right? Today, you better be buying into that strategy. Rates are going to continue to come down as the inflation rate comes down. We all know it. So you've got to be dialed into that strategy more than ever.
And another reason why, guys, you need to be in that strategy more than ever is even when rates come down, there was a little over $4 trillion in debt in mortgages done over the past 2 years. And by the way, guys, what were rates in 2020 and 2021? They either started with a 2 or a 3. So there is $8 trillion in mortgage debt that starts with a 2 or a 3. So you're going to have to be better at helping families make the move up decision. Like no more are the days where a loan officer doesn't have to really make a case for buying that move up home. Hey, look, you could rent out your home and move up and achieve your freedom point faster. Or, you know what? I know you got that 2, that 3, and they're 4s now. It's all about the freedom point. It's all about lifestyle and freedom point. And so, and then first time home buyers, it's all about the freedom point. Like if you can be the loan officer that can help a family understand how to use debt to achieve the American dream, home ownership, debt free, or it's a strategic financial planning decision on how we pay it off and when we pay it off. Guys, that is the future. We're moving into an era of the haves and the have-nots. In the haves, they're monitoring their database with sales bill rings, so they know who needs a loan and when. They're creating consumer experiences that educate families. And then, they're Denise Donoghue's. They're good leaders. They manage teams. They're good marketers. They've got a great attitude. So Denise, let's just start getting into high level. How are you going about? It's the second week in December. So as far as I'm concerned, 23 started now. What are you doing so that you optimize your success next year?
So I have become, over the last few months, I have become obsessed with how to create a high trust digital experience for my clients. Because I think that there's a notion out right now that you can't have a high trust, highly emotional connection with your client and it be digital. It's almost like people, and this is just what we do, we have to think and it's either this way or that way. But the good advisors, the modern advisors, find a way to bring those two together. Now, I'm not saying that an in-person appointment, let's say with a real estate agent, I'm not saying that that connection is as high as the digital, but it absolutely is close enough that when surveyed. So with that, I've also been obsessed with learning about generations and how different generations prefer to consume, how they prefer to buy. In this younger generation, these first-time homebuyers right now, they grew up with an iPhone in their hand. They grew up, it's not even like they didn't just grow up with a cell phone. They grew up with a smartphone. I think 8-year-old and beyond had a smartphone in their hand. And so the way that they consume and the way that they research is so very different than even millennials and the baby boomers. And I think that's the hard part with being a loan originator is we say, okay, but how the heck do you design a business that can communicate and scale when you have baby boomers as clients and millennials and these Gen Zs? How can you actually be that diverse and still connect on that emotional level? Because we all know that emotional connection with our clients is what creates the annuity of income for us, where we're not having to chase our tail with realtors every single month and start all over. But there truly is a way to marry it. And if you're sitting there right now today thinking that there isn't a way to marry it together, I am a proven example that it is, because to be honest, I don't speak to the clients when they come in. I'm the only loan originator on my team. So those 722 families, I know like the old me would be like, oh, she's probably got 4 loan officers, or that's a branch production. That's only my production. I have 4 LOAs that help me with it. But how our manufacturing process is set up is so digital, but still keeps that emotional connection that if you go look at my Google reviews, because I'm all about calling like people out. Like if you're going to say you do these kinds of numbers, then check the MMI numbers, right? If you're going to say that you have a great business, go check the Google reviews. If you check my Google reviews, which we just started collecting in the last 18 months because Zillow did what Zillow did, that we started pushing people to Google, we've over 300 reviews. And the common theme that you'll see in those is Denise and her team. So how the heck are they so compelled to write a review and include my name when they've never spoken to me? But why is it that they're including me in the experience that was so great that they have to share it on Google? And it's because we've designed a business that creates high trust, high emotional connection, and digital all in one. It is possible.
So Denise, I wouldn't be surprised if you said you've read this book, but it's a book I recently purchased. Have you seen this book?
Yeah.
So so it's called A New Kind of Diversity by Tim Elmore, forwarded by John Maxwell, guys. And the new kind of diversity is, in the workforce and in housing. Hey, realtors, hey, mortgage professionals, the new kind of diversity is technology, and how they use technology and how they work. And here's another little fact for everyone, guys. This is I'm doing a presentation right now because I'm going to start every Wednesday at, I can't remember, 11. I'm going to be doing like a mortgage coach presentation because, yeah, I'm not going to get into the whole why on that, but just know that I'm doing that. And I'm creating a new presentation called Becoming a Mortgage Coach. And I want to show you a couple slides, and then we want to bring it back to Denise. By the way, guys, I do want to remind y'all this is mastermind style, so ask us some questions as we go here. But and here's the presentation that I'm creating, and it's all about like, hey, how do you survive while rates are high, while preparing? Guys, rates are coming down. How do we make the most of that in 2023? And then how do we just slay it during spring home buying season? Like these are the prepare. And one of the things that I as I prepared this is when you really look at the data and you look, this is a global real estate comparison, and you look at residential housing compared to any other sector, like it's by far the biggest. It's like double any other asset class. And then I really like this chart. It was shared in our Facebook group by Todd Ballinger. And when you look at how over different generations, how much things have moved around in terms of where people in America spend their money. But guys, the only thing that's straight across the top, it's housing. So like, guys, we're in the biggest industry in the world, certainly in America. It is the number one P&L item that drives health and happiness from a financial position. When people aren't healthy financially, it leads to divorce. It leads to a lot of negative things in life. And here's the deal, guys. Most kids graduate from college not really understanding what homeownership means. Remember, financial literacy crisis. Most consumers, the vast majority of homeowners and home buyers don't really understand that, hey, if I paid an extra $200, how much it would save them. Or if I invested with more intention around financial freedom, what would that mean? So like there's a massive gap. We have a massive opportunity. And I can't think of anyone who gets that better than you do. So first of all, are you familiar with the book?
Yes.
Do you recommend
And there's
people
a great book. One of my favorite books that I've read is called The Aged Curve. I'll drop the link in it for you guys, but that's another great one to add to your deck because it studies even the behavior of why Gen Z. I made a post yesterday on my social media, and it was something like, how do generations rank how much money they need to be financially healthy? And the Gen Zs were at 171,000 that they felt they needed a year to afford their lifestyle. So 171,000. Millennials were 133. Gen X was 112. And the baby boomers were 78,000. And what I did is, and when I say I did, obviously Plug and Play social media did. But what they did is they just asked the question, hey, why do you think millennials think they need double the amount that these baby boomers? And just pose the question. And it's so interesting because a lot of the millennials and Gen Xers were like, oh, it's because they're materialistic and, they want to have this Instagram lifestyle and kind of that perspective. And then the other perspective was like, well, this generation grew up on the iPhone. They grew up with seeing more violence with gun shootings and such than ever before. They grew up with seeing their parents go through the housing crash. They grew up with seeing a lot of credit card debt. They have seen more stuff than any other generation just from the pure fact of the internet and things being exposed more than it was when baby boomers were growing up. And so their thought of, well, I could make money on my iPhone the non-traditional way. Why go to a job and work 8 to 5? I could have 3 side hustles that gives me a little bit more freedom. There is a component of social media and the comparison side of things, but They're graduating with more, student loan debt is the highest it's ever been. Cars are costing more than ever, with home prices going up these last 2 years. The same, my first house I bought was 149,000 in Frisco, Texas. Now that same house is over 500,000, and they have more student loan debt. And so their perception is, whether boomers want to call them lazy or not, boomers are the ones that raised them. It's like their perception is that they need more money. And so how they go to consume real estate or buy a home, or they're thinking about it differently. They're thinking about possibly buying with a roommate. Whereas like people like me, it's like, holy crap, if you're going to buy a house with even your boyfriend or your girlfriend, be very careful about that, because God forbid you get into a fight and then what happens. But they're thinking about real estate very, very differently. And so I love this book because it doesn't only teach us how they're consuming, but it ties in the emotional component of things that they've gone through. And so it just really allows us to understand, if anything, offer empathy of why they feel that way and what they're struggling with to be able to consume. And little fun fact for you guys, I'll share this too. Let me see if I can pull it up. This chart is all about how they prefer to be communicated with. And guess what? It's through social media. They want to, this is the world that we're approaching. So I had a sidebar a little bit, but I had a loan officer call me last night. He's probably watching this because he's a mortgage coacher. And he said, hey, Denise, I want to pick your brain. I truly feel like that referrals from real estate agents is almost extinct. That majority of our business is going to come from our database. And I said, I don't think so. I think what's happening is the average real estate agent is around 55, 56 years old. And what's happening to them is they're getting really frustrated that the 28-year-old is coming in, they're getting their real estate license, and they're writing contracts when they have no idea even how to write a contract, but they're ultimately getting that buyer agreement or listing agreement. And it's frustrating the heck out of these 55-year-olds that have all the experience. Some of them are whales, and they're getting so frustrated. And so the reality is that a lot of my realtor roster is with some of these experienced agents that are awesome, but they don't know how to market to this Gen Z, which does make up the largest buying pool. And anybody that owns a home right now, they have a really low rate. So you do have to kind of pivot to, well, I don't want to be a TikTok dancer in order to, get business. And I'm not a TikTok dancer, but what I will tell you is that if you're an experienced agent and you're helping this 32-year-old and you say, hey, you've got to use Dave because Dave is a badass mortgage advisor, that 32-year-old is going to say, okay, great. Let me get Dave's information. Let me go look him up, because they're researchers. They think they know more than, we do, because they can find a solution online. So they go look Dave up. They don't really see any kind of social media presence, red flag. They don't see any kind of reviews, red flag. So even though this realtor, they have a lot of trust in them, if they don't see that, and then guess what? Smartphones are listening. We've talked about this. All of a sudden they see Denise's video on social media, whatever platform it is, and they're like, they're putting out a bunch of information. They're showing me what the cost of waiting looks like. They're showing me how to buy a home with the cheapest monthly payment. I'm not selling a 2-1 buy down. No one knows what a 2-1 buy down is. I'm talking about things of how do you buy a home in 2022 with the lowest monthly payment, which is what this generation is struggling to do. Now all of a sudden they get, quicksand into my outlet where they're being informed and they're educated, and they've said, I appreciate your referral, but I know, like, and trust this person more based on what I found with my own research. And so the loan officers aren't showing up and educating in that way. You still might get the referral from Joe, the realtor, but they're not ultimately going to use you because you're so we talk about service before you get the deal, during you get the deal, and after. Your service pregame sucks. Your education pregame sucks. They don't feel like they know, like, and trust you. You don't have the reviews to back it up. And so that is what I feel like we're starting to see, is those realtors that don't learn how to market to that consumer base will likely go off and retire and become extinct more. But these hustling 28, 29, 30 newly licensed realtors coming into the game that grew up with the smartphone, that know how to market to them, those referrals we absolutely will still exist. But does your mortgage practice attract and educate those types of consumers right now? Or is your mortgage practice more one-dimensional, meaning this is how it's done and it's done the same way? Like, another example is, and then I'm sure you've got some things to say, but when someone goes online and fills out an online application, we have different campaigns, if you will, for first-time home buyer, for repeat buyer, for a relocation, because there's a lot of people relocating to the Texas area. So we designed a campaign for that, because this generation, they attach themselves to brands that feel like they get more personalized messages to them, which is why they like social media, because they feel like it's more towards them. And so in my CRM, I've spent the last year setting this up for these next 2, 3, 5 years of these this Gen Z is the largest generation that we have, bigger than the boomers. So how are you constructing your mortgage practice today to serve a baby boomer at the same time of being able to serve this Gen Z? Is your practice multidimensional? And if it's not, I would challenge you to think about how you could set it up that way, how you could be so intentional with the upfront communication that now when that app comes in, I've become obsessed with Lender Launchpad. It took Scott and Deborah probably a year to get me obsessed with it. Now I'm like insanely obsessed with it. But now when an app comes in, my CRM, if it's a first-time home buyer, my CRM will send out an email that says, congrats, we've received your online application. Take a look at this 3-minute video to explain what happens next. And it's a Lender Launchpad link. And it goes into this video of me sharing what happens next. And then of course, my videos that I've programmed into my Lender Launchpad are going to be things specifically for first-time homebuyers and what their fears and concerns are, because ultimately they just want to be able to make a safe and secure decision. So all my trigger words and in my videos, it's going to talk about how we help guide you make a safe and secure decision about your home, about your finances. But those videos and what we share with those first-time home buyers, it's not going to resonate the same with someone who's already bought and sold, or maybe they are a baby boomer. And so what does that content look like? Well, we've customized that. And that's just getting super intentional on the front end of, when someone goes to Chick-fil-A and they make an order, if you tell me no pickles, when I go to the window, you better give me a sandwich with no pickles because I told you no pickles. That's being intentional. That's having a point of sale operating system where the left hand is talking to the right, and you can really build an emotional connection with them because it feels like it's designed for them, but it's at scale, because you can't close 700 families if you can't do it at scale. You see what I'm saying? So obviously I'm getting super passionate about this, but it's so fascinating. And I think it's something that loan officers need to be thinking about in their mortgage practice right now, today, is being multidimensional.
Wow. I took a lot of notes. I got a book that I'm going to buy right after this call. That income gap, really made me think, because I have two. I have a 20-year-old who's attending Chapman University, who bought a duplex. And part of the strategy with, buying that duplex was housing. He's renting out the front unit, which is covering the payment for the whole thing, to like 4 Chapman students. So, we've got 4 other families who are, paying a significant amount of money for the housing of their kid to go to Chapman. And we bought that place, and Jack's, he's learned a lot. And by the way, he learned a lot of this. He advocated that because he watches YouTube. Like, they're smarter. I've got a 23-year-old sister who, bought a triplex this year, and she's building wealth with real estate. She bought this triplex. One of the units was really suited to be an Airbnb, and she can literally like triple the income on like the smallest unit. She's got the biggest unit rented out, and she's like making real money. And so guys, that's the era that we're in, where they're, and I did an interview a few months ago with a first-year loan officer who, got a referral from a realtor. The family wanted to, not family, it was a single first-time home buyer that was gonna, I'm not gonna buy. Rates have gone up so high, I'm gonna wait till next year. This loan officer showed a house hacking strategy with a mortgage coach rep versus own analysis. And then the guy goes like, oh my God, I didn't realize what, even with these high interest rates, that if I rent out these 2 bedrooms and I invest that, boom, I'm in escrow. So let me share an idea. And here's where I want to take the next half of this call. I'm going to share a couple moves that I think loan officers need to be making right now and lenders need to be making. And then I really want to unpack the rest of the call on like tactically, like what are some of the strategies and tactics you're implementing? So I by the way, guys, I put this deck in a link. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's not very well organized. It's more like a library of a lot of slides that I use for, sometimes I'm selling to the C-suite. I've got some slides. Sometimes I'm selling to loan officers. I've got some slides. Sometimes I'm just educating. I got some slides. So realize it's a lot. But here's where I think the haves and have-nots are of the future. First of all, almost every realtor, this is what their database looks like. They don't know what's going on in their database. And some loan officers know what's going on in their database. Like, oh, someone's shopping for a mortgage. Someone listed their house. Someone just had a kid graduate from high school. Someone just had a kid graduate from college. By the way, what should the mortgage professional of the future do? Like literally, you should have someone on your team that, oh, someone graduated from high school. Let's create a house hacking rip versus own, so I can call up that family and say, hey, did you know that I can actually turn college, instead of it being an expense item, I can create it in not only you and your wife or whatever, building wealth with real estate, having your kid go through college in a duplex or a triplex, or, oh, you had someone in this household that just graduated from college, and by the way, go from data to experience, consumer experience. That's what we're doing. This is the mission I'm on, is literally no more should mortgage professionals be jealous of financial planners, they make money on assets under management. No more should loan officers be jealous of insurance agents of a book of business. Like if you do what Denise does and you use a combination of sales boomerang and mortgage coach, like not only can you do this for yourself, but you could bring this to realtors. Hey, realtor, I can turn your database into a predictable amount of move-up buyers, second home buyers, investors that are in your database that you don't know about. I'll check this out. I did a call with Amir. If you didn't watch this, then you should need to watch it. It was last week, and Amir got an equity alert in Sales Boomerang because it was a client whose credit was going down like rapidly, and they had a lot of equity. So it was really like, hey, this looks like a cash out refi. And what he found out is that the wife was literally weeks away from, taking a leave of absence from her job and basically becoming unfinanceable because they were taking care of a sick child. And so they were using credit cards, all this. So because he was monitoring a database, he was able to call this family. He was able to do a debt consult refi, put them in a position to where they don't have to sell their home, really secure their position for the next couple of years, so that now the mom can take a leave of absence. She got a loan. She literally, guys, there's helping families build wealth with real estate, and there's like SOS calls. So to me, coming into 2023, especially with rates getting ready to go down, here's another one, Denise, that I'm going to start asking you questions. But check this out. So let's say you want to know where all the cash out refis are. You need to do that. But guys, when rates start going down, which they're going to start doing soon, you need to have like rate watch alerts, like, oh, this family just got in the money, or rate and term refi alerts. So you can literally take your database and then you can create a presentation. So one thing that I'm going to be advocating strongly as we prepare, rates going down, prep for spring home buying season. First of all, get your database monitored, and then make sure you are a mortgage coach so that you can deliver an experience. And so for me, that's one of the most important things I'm advocating for as the Chief Innovation Officer for Boomerang and Mortgage Coach. So first of all, what are your thoughts on that? And then I just want to give tactics, strategies and tactics for the next part of the call here.
I mean, I think it's huge. I think what that does is that allows you to be aware of the household changes, emotional or not, like the SOS. Imagine how I don't want to say in debt you are to them, but if you can help somebody get out of a bad situation, that's a client for life. Not only does it make you feel good, because honestly, not everything needs a rate of return. There are things that I do that just fulfills the fulfillment bucket. I know there's a lot of you guys out there like that, but imagine if you get that kind of alert and you see that, the impact that you can have for that family. And so that is the ultimate digital experience. And you would have to work. It's like, if you don't like chasing realtors and you have a database and you have Sales Boomerang, you could probably pivot and spend so much more time in your database that you wouldn't need to, deal with the realtor world. But just
and you would have leverage, because you're
right.
bringing more deals to realtors.
Massive leverage. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, you want to meet with me, and I'm available in 2 weeks because my 2 weeks are already booked with financial advisors and every other profession who works predominantly straight commission. They want this kind of stuff proactively in their inbox as alerts to be like, okay, now it's time to go reach out to this person. And if you do it in a way that's a genuine way of, hey, I noticed this, here's a personalized video for you. It's not spam mail, it's not robocalls. Because keep in mind, when these rates go down next year, this is what we're telling all of our clients right now. When we start to see rates go down, guess what? All these big companies with big, checkbooks, they're going to be robocalling your clients to death and spam mailing your clients to death. But if you get an alert that you can prepare a mortgage coach edge and send it to them, that's meaningful to them, it's not just the same postcard that everybody else got, they're going to resonate with you. They already know, like, and trust you. And now you're paying attention. It's you don't have to spend the thousands of dollars in the ad campaigns and the Super Bowl ads to compete now. It's just because you're paying attention and you've got the tools to present it to a client in a digestible way, pair that with video, and then take that stuff. And that's what you should be sharing on your social media outlets. You don't have to recreate it for social media. You're already doing it. Just share it with the masses. Obviously disguise the names and such. You don't want to share someone's personal information, but now you're showcasing to the masses, this is what I do. And you're going to bring people in that way. But then you actually are already helping the families that already know, like, and trust you. I mean, it's just such a no-brainer.
So Bill Gaylord, who's a legend in the industry, by the way, what's up, my man, Bill Gaylord? I've interviewed him. It's been too long, Bill. He just asked a question in our Facebook group. He said, do you do realtor collaborations on social media, and how do you do it? So from Bill Gaylord.
Yeah, so that's actually what we're talking about in my Nerd Academy today, is how to attract realtors to your practice versus chase. And I think we've talked a lot, Dave, with like a one-to-many strategy, but it's even more than that now. It's how can you create a many-to-many strategy? And what that means is a one-to-many means you do one thing once and you share it with a bunch of people. Many-to-many would be like doing a Facebook Live or Instagram Live and doing a first-time homebuyer webinar, or answering the top 5 questions. Hey, you post on your Instagram stories, I'm going to answer the first 5 questions you have about real estate with the #1 realtor, such and such. And then you get on live and you talk about it. But the many-to-many strategy is something that I've been doing a lot of. It's funny, Kai McBride and I would talk about it all the time. When you host Realtor Mastermind, so to specifically answer your question, every Friday, if you're a real estate agent that comes in into contact with me, whether you're a listing agent or I saw you at an open house, You go in my database every Friday, you get something super valuable. It might be a graphic that shows here's where we were in 2020, here's where we were in 2021, and here's where we're, I'm sorry, 21, 22, and where we're expected in 23. But I create it in the way that it's a graphic that they can use on their social media outlets. So it's super valuable. That's what they get every Friday. Every 6 weeks, they get invited to a realtor mastermind. Next week, we're hosting one on Tuesday with the top agent in the US. His name is Glenn Bill. So it doesn't have to be just your local market. Obviously, I'm inviting my local agents. I invite them in person, and then I give them the option for a Zoom ticket. It's free. And I'm bringing in somebody, much like what Dave does, bringing somebody outside of our market that's super valuable that we could learn from. And I do that about every 6 weeks to get them together. And then for my top agents, I will in person still connect and meet with them, because I do think there's value in being flesh to flesh with those top people. Only the top ones will get my time and money and energy in that way. But otherwise, the many to many, these realtor masterminds that we're doing via Zoom, and for the local people who want to come in person, it's such a game changer because it's recorded. And so the many to many strategy is once it's recorded, then guess what I do? I send it to Plug and Play SM. They slice it up. They create Instagram content for it and social media content for it, even my Friday email content for it. And I'm not having to redo anything. It's just literally taking something I've done once, and it'll stay in my library of content that I can go back and use maybe March next year. I don't know. I'll use it at some point, but it's that many to many strategy. And we can quantify, this is the biggest value. We are so valuable right now to real estate agents, y'all. Like, they need us more than ever because they don't know how to get through this market. And what they don't know how to do is they don't know how to quantify the questions that they're getting. And so if you're a true mortgage advisor and you use MortgageCoach, you should have realtors lined out the door if you're showcasing your wisdom through the masses, which means social media or email, whatever. Because if they're going to your news, your feed, and they're seeing, here's what the cost of waiting looks like. Here's what, so the interest rates dropped last week, I think it was, and so many loan officers just posted, oh, rates dropped, but you're not quantifying what that means. Let me show you what that means with a chart. And you talk about it and you send them an email and you literally put numbers to it. Last example in this, and because this happens in all different mediums, I don't want you to think it's just social media or it's just email, but I sent this text message. So one of our top agents, she had a client that was buying. The client she owns an insurance practice, and she wanted to use her own lender. That lender is 70 years old, and they don't use video and they don't use MortgageCoach. But Lane is her name, and she said, I really think you should get a second opinion. I trust all my clients with Denise and her team. They service your loan before, during, and after. That's obviously an embedded command that we've now taught our realtors. Just give them a shot. So she did. And because she did, our rate is lower. So the monthly payment's lower, costs are lower. But here's what I could have just said, yeah, we can save the money and we write their loan and move on down the road. But I didn't. Instead, this is the text message I sent her. And I said, Lane, just to put this in perspective for you, because you influenced her to give us a chance, this now single mom, because she got divorced, she has 3 kids, she's getting a lower interest rate. It saves her $209 a month. We're saving her $6,000 in closing costs because the other lender was charging discount points for a much higher rate. In 10 years, this is going to save her over $25,000. In case people question whether or not a realtor saves the money or not, I thought you might want to know. If I didn't quantify this to the math for her, you know what she's going to do? I already know what she's going to do. She's going to take this and she's going to brag about it because it makes her look good. But she's going to take it and share it on social media that shows hiring her and having her trusted Rolodex of vendors can save you up to $25,000. Want to learn more?
Ba-boom.
Because we should be master mathematicians, and we quantify things. And sometimes we do it in our sleep that we don't think to actually present it back to the person to show them. And then you show it to the client. Hey, this is what Lane's connection just did for you. Like $25,000 to a single mom, $200 a month to a single mom. She just had twins. I know that will pay for a boatload of diapers. Like we can quantify things so much easier and so much faster. It's just, are you doing it? Are you delivering it to your realtors or your clients in a way that's digestible? And are you telling the masses about it? Otherwise, all you did was get them a better rate, and they don't really know, really what that means.
And guys, there's a formula to what she just did. She quantified it monthly. She quantified it over a longer period of time. And then I also push everybody, quantify it over debt free. I guarantee you that if she would have taken that $200, applied it to her principal every month, she'd pay off her house 10 years faster and achieve financial freedom 10 years faster, all within a referral. So guys, make sure that's the formula. And I love that. Share it with a realtor, collaborate with a realtor. Bill said, awesome information. So guys, I want to summarize some things. And then Denise, just so you know, the questions coming next are, what are the biggest mortgage coach strategies that you're going to be going to realtors in January? I really want anyone on this to be like, okay, what am I going to bring to my realtors in January? Or what are you bringing right now? What are the top, Denise, Donoghue? But I want to summarize a few things, guys. One, she's using Lender Launchpad. Denise or Deborah put a link down below to where you can get a free demo of that super powerful program. I want to, oh, let me share my screen real quick. I want to show something and then you get to share yours. So stop real quick. I really, guys, I did this YouTube channel because I want to make a difference in the industry. I want loan officers to be the most valuable advisors to consumers, to be the captain of the wealth team. And this interview with Ahmet is just a great example of someone just doing all the right things: monitoring database, giving advice, presenting information. Also, guys, we've got, not only in the YouTube channel, Denise, you don't know this yet, but when I was thinking about interviewing you today, I'm like, you know what? There's so much gold in our YouTube channel that you've done. Guys, there's a Denise Donoghue playlist now. So if you want to go and just Jones out, like, this is one of my favorite because it's 5 minutes. This was from the Modern Mortgage Summit, which, by the way, we'll be announcing soon on when the next one is. Denise will be one of the keynote speakers. But this was, when was this? This was a year ago. It's been viewed over 7,000, almost 8,000 times. And Denise, just in 5 minutes, she talks about how is she blowing mind with realtors. But there's a, Denise Donoghue's 2022 Realtor Playbook. So I just want you guys to know, these resources are for you. Like this is content that will help you be more successful. So, and remember, guys, keep the questions coming. I don't see another new question yet. And Deborah, thank you for sharing that Lender Launchpad link. It's in below. If you're watching this in YouTube, all the links will be in show notes. So some of the videos I've called out, the playlist, and then Denise is going to share her top mortgage coach strategies now. And Denise, if you could give me the links so I can put those down below later.
Sure.
Let's go.
Can you guys see my screen?
I'll tell you what I do.
Okay.
We see it.
There's honestly so many. I'm gonna show you one mortgage coach, and then I'm gonna show you a couple of things. But this is one that I've been doing a lot of lately with home buying, with clients who are on the fence about buying. And I'm gonna do this real fast. But basically, in 2021, the house was listed at 500,000. It might have sold for 650. You would have had an interest rate of 3%. Would have made your mortgage payment $37.90. Right now, a house that listed at 550, it might sell for 540. Yes, your rate's almost double, so your monthly payment's a little bit double. But the $1 million question, what everybody's asking us is, should we wait? Should we wait till rates come down? And rates are already starting to come down. So the conversations that we're having is, what do you think is going to happen? And I like to ask these questions because it forces people to go into their mind and answer a question without you just telling them, because no one wants to be told. But customer, okay, great. I understand that you want to wait until next May. What do you think is going to happen when people like you want to wait until the rates come down? What do you think the market's going to look more like? like 2021 or like it is now? I'm letting them answer. And guess what
21.
they say 100% of the time? 2021. Okay, what do you mean by that? I know what they mean, but what do you mean by that? Well, I'm sure a lot of people are waiting for rates to come down so that's more affordable. And yeah, you're probably right. And so a house in 2023 could be listed at 550, might sell for 650. Your rate might be 4.5, but the monthly payment is 4,332. And sometimes it's just showing them these numbers that now we're talking a bigger monthly payment. And then, like I said, if you share it on social media, let me just bring up this PowerPoint. This is one of the most, these are three, I won't filter through my feed. But these are three charts that were created. This is the one that was when interest rates dropped, easily postable, so that if rates were 7.25, now they're 6.25. Here's how your monthly payment changes. Or here's a seller concession cheat sheet. I mean, Plug and Play put this together. I think this was probably my most saved and most shared graphic on social media. And sometimes all we do is pay attention to the hearts, but the shared and the saves, this is what real estate agents absolutely love. And then these graphics forecasting, so many people are so scared about where rates are going to go. And again, it's not just about rates, but if you look at the math, I just read this morning, year over year, home prices are still up 10% compared to last year. Like, so many people are thinking that, like my mother-in-law is a prime example. I'm going to wait because not only are interest rates going to come down, but home prices are going to come down. Tell me more about that. Where are you coming up with that? And when you ask more of those questions, you find out it's just an emotional statement, because the facts show that year over year, we're up 10%. And what's forecasted is that it's going to continue to go up 4%. Now, client, you might be thinking that because you're seeing more price reductions, which is very normal in this time of year. But we're actually showing that this house today is selling for 10% more than it sold last December. So I'm doing a lot of these. I've incorporated, like I said, in my lender launch pads of videos. And when you click on this, it's going to showcase to even more, if it's a first time home buyer, we're going to show obviously the cost of renting. And right now that generation is so fed up with their rent going up. They're more pissed off that their rent is going up, that they're even aware about if these rates are bad or not. Because keep in mind, they don't know if rates are bad or not. They've never purchased before. They think it's bad. And so, again, trying to incorporate, I want to create a digital mortgage experience. In this video, I talk about how I know that you value time, and I know you don't necessarily want to drive into the office. If you do, we're available in office, on the phone, on Zoom, whatever you want. But it's creating stuff like this, like, does credit pulls hurt my FICO score? And like I said, if you can get specific, even post-closing. So last thing, as I know we're wrapping up, but in this market that we're in today, I thought to myself, what did I fail at in 2019 that I could learn from and better position myself for 2023? And I don't think any of us were prepared for this refi boom. But what I sucked at was when a client said, I'm going to wait to buy, I didn't have my database dialed in for that kind of campaign I decided to wait. We have a long-term follow-up, and we have those kinds of, but not specifically for people who said, I'm going to wait for rates to come down. I'm going to wait for home prices to come down. So what we learned from that was we need a specific drop down and a specific campaign, and we're going to put those clients in there. And then my drips to them are almost all TCAs about where rates are going, what we're predicting, how that will change your monthly payment, because obviously they've decided to wait because they either think they're going to get screwed and overpay, or they just simply can't afford. Once they get pre-qualified and they can only afford $3,500 a month, once they realize what $3,500 a month will get them, they're like, ugh, it's not really what I thought. But how are we incubating those? And I never had that campaign, prior to now, because that wasn't really a thing. So I do challenge everyone that no one thought, coming out of 2018 and 2019, rates started to rise a bit. And that's when, we started to see a bunch of layoffs and stuff. And I feel like none of us, if your CEO said at the end of 2019, you're going to have the best 2 years in your mortgage business ever if you can get through the end of 2019. I don't know if any of us would have believed it. And then boom, 2020 and 2021 were like best years ever. And 2022 reminds me a lot of 18 and 19, where it's like, what is it going to look like when we get through this? Well, you need to make sure that you're learning from your failures. You're learning what you didn't do right to set up for 2020 and 2021. And right now it's all about educating to the masses. You know, like Dave said, we're entering this time of year where it's December. People are gathering around for family time, but consumers have the most credit card debt that we've ever seen. And we're too shameful to talk about it. It's like we don't talk about money and finances with our own loved ones. And we should, because this time of year can either bring you a lot of joy or it can bring you a lot of sadness and loneliness. And so now's the time to be checking on your family, checking on your clients, checking on your realtors, and then offering things. If you have a Rolodex of financial advisors, think, if a lot of people are struggling with finance, maybe they're struggling with, my kid's going to graduate school soon, and I don't know how the heck they're going to pay for college. It's not always what TCA you're providing or what, but I'm going to host a Zoom webinar with my financial advisor that talks about how to budget for college, or that talks about why somebody would need life insurance, because life insurance seems like you're investing money for when you die. And that just doesn't seem like fun, you know? But in my mind, I'm like, man, the people are thirsting for financial literacy. And like Dave always says, we're the quarterback of it all. But are you delivering it? And the more you make an impact on a human being, the more that they will trust you and come back to you. It's just, you know, that there's so many things that are just at our fingertips that I just don't think we're thinking creativity enough to leverage it, really.
So guys, we're almost out of time. What she showed you, that TCA strategy, a lot of folks in the mortgage coach community, you know, I think it's the number one strategy. It's the date, the rate, marry the house strategy. And it's one of the reasons why this Jeremy's video on it, I'm pretty sure will be one of the top 10 videos of the year. But if you're a manager and you're watching this and your loan officers don't know how to like future cast, if they don't know how to tell the story, guys, this is how we go beyond pre-approvals under contract, you know, by helping the family understand that buy the house now, you can always refi as rates go down. Denise did a great job of giving you sequencing and questioning how to have that conversation. The number two strategy, which I'll be covering every Wednesday in my demo, is you know, divorce the rent. You know, like showing a family how to go from, you know, whether it's a house hacking strategy like this, where, you know, this is that first time home buyer that's going to rent out 2 bedrooms and you're showing it. I mean, there's a lot of other strategies, but if you're watching this and you're not doing these things, get the competency to do that. If you do not already subscribe to the Mortgage Coach channel, do that. Please, if you've got any value from this channel, if you got any value from this call, give it a like, play it forward, share. Denise, closing thoughts, and it looks like you've got something to share on the screen right now. I see.
Yes, I have to share this with you because this is where you'll see all my TCAs really easily. If you go to my Instagram, I have a link in my bio. It just goes to a link tree. This is a little hack for you guys. It's a link tree that shows you in the questions. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Here we go. This is meaningful to go over. So you've got all these options, right? Get started, client reviews, contact me. Here it says most common questions. So if you click on most common questions, all it does is actually to direct you to another free link tree of how to buy a home with the lowest monthly payment. That's just the 2-1 buy down. Pre-qualified versus pre-approved. What are mortgage rates? How we find the best. All of these that I constantly switch up depending on what's getting the most hits right now. And it's content right then and there that's super easy. It's digital. It's on social media. I just told you guys that's that group. So it's like, take these TCAs. I call it the date, the rate loan program, divorce, or all these things, put it here and create a video on it, and then be able to digitally share it super easy. Make it super easy for your realtors to digitally share it. So again, this is a free link tree. I did buy this domain to have it point to the link tree so it looks fancy. That was $12 for the year. Otherwise, all of this is free. So consider that. as a channel for you to have all your TCAs and videos that people can start to learn about you and how you educate and how you advise before they even come in contact with you.
So Denise, so much gold, so much wisdom, so much inspiration. Guys, we hope you got value from this. If you're watching this on YouTube, all the links that we called out, the videos, they'll all be down below. Denise, any closing thoughts before we say goodbye to everybody?
Just you gotta make that mental shift. If you've seen the movie Tin Cup and he's in a rut and he can't get the ball in the hole, he takes all the money from like his left pocket, moves it to the right pocket, and that's kind of where a lot of us are in today. We will get through this, but you gotta get out of it. You've got to change your mindset. And if you need help with that, go to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. You will get inspired. You will get tactics. It's stuff that people are doing today. You don't have to do it alone, but turn to that as a resource. It's free and it's super valuable.
Denise, thank you so much, guys. This is a wrap. Remember, share this with your friends, give us a like, and we'll see you at the next call. Take care, everybody. Bye. Oh, boom.